Most people don't suffer because life is too hard. They suffer because their mind is too untrained. If your thoughts are chaotic, your emotions unstable, and your reactions impulsive, life will always feel heavier than it really is. And in a world full of pressure, noise, comparison, and uncertainty, a strong mind is no longer optional. It's necessary. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal, war, illness, and the weight of an empire. Yet he maintained clarity and calm. Epictetus was born a slave, lived in hardship, and still developed an inner strength that no external force could break. Seneca navigated politics, loss, and danger with a mind rooted in discipline rather than emotion. Their secret wasn't luck, it was mental training. In this video, you'll learn 7 Stoic rules that will help you build a stronger mind starting today. Rules that will teach you how to control your thoughts, manage your emotions, stay calm under pressure, reduce anxiety, and think with the clarity and confidence the modern world demands. These principles are simple, but they are not easy. They require commitment, awareness, and daily practice. But once you apply them, your life changes. The noise quiets, the stress weakens, the fear shrinks, and your inner strength becomes unshakable. Before we begin, set your intention for today. Comment one word: strong. Let's start with the first rule, the foundation of all mental strength. Rule 1. Train your perception before your reaction. Most mental suffering begins not with what happens, but with how you interpret what happens. The Stoics understood that the mind creates stress long before reality does. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts, meaning the world is not stressful. Your perception makes it stressful. Psychology confirms this. When something unexpected occurs, the brain doesn't react to the event itself. It reacts to the meaning you assign to it. A delay becomes a disaster. Silence becomes rejection. Uncertainty becomes danger. This is why 2 people can face the same situation, but one stays calm while the other collapses. Perception shapes experience. In everyday life, this rule decides everything. Your boss is rude. Is it an attack on you or just their bad day? Plans change. Is it catastrophe or simply inconvenience? Someone ignores your message. Is it rejection or maybe they're busy? Before the reaction, there is the interpretation. And before the interpretation, there is the perception. Here is the Stoic method. Pause, observe, reframe. Pause before reacting. Observe the thought that arises. Reframe it into something neutral and controllable. When you train your perception, you stop giving the world permission to control your mind. A strong mind does not react first. It sees clearly first. And clarity is the beginning of strength. Rule 2. Control your inner dialogue. Your mind speaks long before your mouth does. And for most people, the inner voice is not a guide, it's an enemy. The Stoics knew that your thoughts are the architects of your emotional state. And if the internal dialogue is negative, chaotic, or self-destructive, your entire life becomes heavier. Epictetus taught that you are disturbed not by events, but by your opinions about them. Today, psychology says the same thing. Cognitive distortions, exaggeration, assumptions, catastrophizing create emotional suffering. It's not the situation. It's the story you tell yourself about the situation. Real life proves this every day. One bad moment becomes a bad day because you narrate it as failure. One delay becomes anxiety because you tell yourself you're losing control. One mistake becomes shame because you repeat the same destructive sentence, "I'm not good enough." The Stoic method is simple but powerful. Separate the thought from the thinker. Don't say, "I am anxious." Say, "An anxious thought is passing through my mind." This distance weakens the emotion and strengthens clarity. You control your inner dialogue by choosing the tone of your thoughts. Not positive fantasies, just accurate, disciplined perception. When your inner voice becomes stable, calm, and rational, your emotions follow. And once you master your inner dialogue, you master the direction of your life. Rule 3. Focus only on what you can control. Most of your stress comes from one habit: trying to control what was never yours. The Stoics considered this the root of human misery. Epictetus said it clearly: freedom is the moment you stop worrying about things outside your control. Modern psychology agrees. Anxiety rises when you try to manage outcomes, opinions, timing, or circumstances that depend on other people or on chance. In everyday life, this rule decides your peace. You can't control someone's attitude, but you can control your response. You can't control the future, but you can control your preparation. You can't control the past, but you can control the meaning you give it. You can't control external chaos, but you can control the state of your mind. Here is the Stoic method. Draw a clear mental line. On one side, your choices, your actions, your effort. On the other, everything else. Your energy is limited. Every minute you spend fighting the uncontrollable is a minute stolen from what you can build, change, or influence. When you focus only on what belongs to you, your mindset, your habits, your discipline, you become stronger, calmer, and far more effective. Paradoxically, your life improves faster because your effort stops leaking into things that don't matter. A strong mind is not the one that controls everything. It is the one that controls itself first. Rule 4. Slow the breath to stabilize the mind. When your breath is chaotic, your mind becomes chaotic. The Stoics understood this long before modern science. The breath is the bridge between the body and the mind. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about returning to a calm breath before making decisions, because he knew that a stable breath produces a stable judgment. Today, neuroscience confirms this ancient wisdom. When you slow your breathing, the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for fear, stress, and emotional overreaction, begins to deactivate. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for clarity and rational thinking, becomes more active. In other words, slow breath equals strong mind, fast breath equals weak mind. You've felt this in your own life. When someone irritates you, your breath becomes shallow. When you're anxious, your chest tightens. When you panic, you breathe quickly, and everything feels worse. Here is the Stoic method, as simple as it is powerful. Breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold for 2. Exhale for 6. Repeat this 5 times. This single practice calms the nervous system, reduces emotional reactivity, and brings you back to the present moment, where clarity lives. A strong mind is not always the one that wins every battle. Sometimes it is simply the mind that remembers to breathe. Rule 5. Choose the smallest next action. Most of the suffering you feel is not from the task itself, but from the weight of thinking about the task. The Stoics knew that the mind collapses under vague pressure, not real effort. When a problem feels overwhelming, it isn't the size of the problem. It's the size of your fear around it. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And modern psychology echoes the same truth. Anxiety grows when the brain tries to process something too large, undefined, or abstract. Clarity shrinks fear. Action destroys anxiety. In your daily life, you've seen this pattern. You delay the message, not because it's hard, but because you imagine the worst. You avoid the project, not because you can't do it, but because the thought of it feels enormous. You freeze, not because you are weak, but because your mind is trying to swallow everything at once. Here is the Stoic method. Break the task into its smallest possible next action. Not finish the job, but write one line. Not fix my life, but make one decision. Not be disciplined forever, but show up today. When you reduce a mountain into a step, your mind becomes free. You move, you progress, you regain control. A strong mind is built one small action at a time. Rule 6. Rehearse difficulties before they arrive. The Stoics practiced strength before life demanded it. They called it premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. Instead of hoping for an easy life, they trained their mind to face hardship with clarity, not fear. Most people collapse when something unexpected happens because they never trained their mind for difficulty. They avoid thinking about pain, loss, uncertainty, or failure. But pretending life is safe does not make it safe. It only makes you unprepared. Modern psychology proves this ancient truth. Fear decreases when the mind becomes familiar with a challenge. Anxiety weakens when you visualize possible scenarios. Mental rehearsal builds resilience. You experience this every day. A conversation you fear becomes easier once you think through it calmly. An upcoming challenge feels lighter once you've imagined how you'll respond. Uncertainty becomes less threatening once you mentally prepare for it. Here is the Stoic method. Take 1 minute each morning. Acknowledge that discomfort, stress, and unpredictability might come. Then quietly decide how you will respond, with calm, discipline, and clarity. When difficulty arrives, your mind doesn't panic. It recognizes the moment. It has been here before, and instead of fear, you feel readiness. A strong mind is not surprised by life. It is prepared for it. Rule 7. Make peace with uncertainty. Life has never been certain. Not in ancient Rome, not in the modern world, not tomorrow, not even in the next hour. The Stoics understood something essential. The mind collapses not because life is uncertain, but because we expect it to be predictable. Your suffering grows every time you demand stability from a world that has never promised it. Seneca wrote, "The whole future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately." Not recklessly, not anxiously, but consciously. Psychology confirms this Stoic truth. The more you resist uncertainty, the more stress, fear, and overthinking dominate your life. The more you accept it, the calmer and more resilient you become. Think about your daily reality. You worry about outcomes you can't see. You fear decisions because you want guarantees. You hesitate because you want certainty before action. But certainty is not coming, and the people who wait for it stay stuck forever. Here is the Stoic method. Shift your focus from controlling outcomes to controlling preparation, character, and response. Say to yourself, whatever comes, I will handle it. Not because life is easy, but because your mind is trained. Once you stop fighting uncertainty, something powerful happens. Fear weakens, clarity returns, strength rises. A strong mind doesn't need the future to be certain. It just needs the present to be grounded. A stronger mind is not something you're born with. It's something you build, rule by rule, day after day. The Stoics didn't rise above chaos because their lives were easier. They rose because their minds were trained. And now, you have the same tools they used. You've learned how to shape your perception before your reaction, how to control your inner dialogue, how to focus only on what belongs to you, how to steady the breath, how to take action when the mind freezes, how to prepare for difficulty, and how to accept uncertainty without fear. Each rule is simple, but together they form a mental armor that life cannot break. Carry these rules into your day. Practice them when life is loud. Return to them when you feel lost. Strength is not something you wait for. It's something you choose. Let your mind become stronger than your circumstances. Let clarity guide your steps. Let discipline protect your peace. And remember, the world does not decide your strength. You do.